Hey everybody, what's going on? It's me, D again, D Rainey with ARRIS Beauty, and today I'm going to talk a little bit on the business end of things, and that is what are contraindications. I know this may be a term that maybe you have never heard before, but a contraindication is simply the opposite of an indication or an indicator that would be a good factor for somebody to be a good candidate to get their brows done or permanent makeup done. So a contraindication is the complete opposite, right? So what that means is that if you have a client who is interested or expressed interest in getting their brows done, they may not be a good candidate if they have any of these pre-existing conditions. That's huge because not every appointment is going to be a good appointment. Not every client is going to be a good candidate. And you want to make sure that you are only working on people that are going to be really good candidates. So what are some pre-existing conditions that would make you a not a good candidate for permanent makeup? One is if you are somebody who suffers with high blood pressure, if you are on a blood thinner type of medication, if you suffer from a blood disorder or some sort of anemia, some sort of anemic disorder, would not be a good candidate. If you are pregnant, lactating, nursing, you cannot get your brows done. If you are a diabetic, that is a huge indicator of somebody who cannot get their brows done. If you're taking any kind of steroids or retinols, you're not a good candidate. If you've had like Botox or anything like that, you can get your brows done, but it cannot be within, I honestly say, within a month of having your brows done. If you have herpes simplex, if you have any other communicable diseases, if you have HIV, AIDS, or anything like that, you're not a good candidate. If you have, obviously in this is particularly now, if you have been exposed to anybody that has been exposed to COVID, has had COVID in the last 2 weeks, if you're living with somebody that has COVID, if you yourself are experiencing COVID symptoms, it's not that you can't get your brows done, but you definitely, this is just a caveat, you want to make sure that you are tested and definitely quarantine at least 2 weeks before your appointment. So how do you find out if any of your clients has any of these types of things? Well, first and foremost, when you do your consultation, it's super important that you go over all of these things. When you do your medical history, when you have them fill out their consent forms, you need to make sure that you have all of this spelled out. My medical history forms are just like you would see at a doctor's office. It literally is like 3 or 4 pages, and I go through everything because it's so important that I know your medical history. I want to make sure that you're a good client. I want to make sure that you have the optimal, best results possible. And I can't do that if I don't know that, I'm using the best techniques for you. Sidebar, caveat, if the technique the customer is wanting, for example, microblading, and they have a family history of keloids, this is something that you definitely need to know because if they have keloids or family history of keloids or keloid skin, that particular technique will not be a good one for that particular client. You have to know these things. And again, the only way you're going to know is by doing the medical history. That's just bottom line and super, super important. So that's all I have today. Just really want to talk a little bit about contraindications. And it's just one of those really weird words that when you see it, you're like, what is that? I know it was for me, but I hope I explained it very well. If you have any questions, please go ahead and drop them in the comments. Let me know if this video was helpful for you. I definitely want to get more on the business end for you guys. So talk to you later. Bye.